I am Professor Gerardo Ceballos. I work at the National University of Mexico, and I am an ecologist that specializes basically in studying animals in the wild. A few years ago, in 2015, my colleagues, my colleagues from Berkeley and the University of Stanford and the University of Mexico, we put together this paper where what you can see here is in red are the amount of this particular characteristic of the planet, that is left. And we can see that in many cases, we have lost more than 50, 60, 70% of this particular ecosystem or species. We can analyze if species that we're losing in the last 500 years, but mostly in the last century, are basically the same number that you will expect in the normal extinction rates, or there are higher extinction rates. And what we found, and this is rather dramatic, I want you to see here, this is a cumulative number of extinct species. This is the centuries, the intervals. So if we were losing a species at the normal rate, all the lines should be below the dot line. But what we can see here is that in the last 500 years, but especially in the last century, we have started to lose species much, much faster than in the previous million years. And we can see here on this side that the number of species lost is directly to the human population. Here is human population and this species, and this line is almost perfect, And this has let us conclude that we have entered the sixth mass extinction. There were 5 previous mass extinctions, all of this caused by natural catastrophes, and this one is caused by us. That's the bad news. The good news is that if it's caused by us, it can be prevented by our activities, by our actions. But before you lose a species, you lose the populations. And what we have found is we're losing billions of populations every year. So this is an example of what we cause. Well, here you can see we destroy the habitat to have more pasture or more crops. And you can see here that in dark is areas where most of the land is under agriculture and cattle. And you will see, well, there are still many places on Earth that you can cultivate. That's not true because, for instance, all this area is too cold, all this area is too dry. And these are the tropical forests who are also not good for harvesting or for producing food. So we basically are at the limit of what we can crop or use for cattle ranching in the planet. So why does all it matter? Well, it is very important to understand that we're losing all these plants or all these animals. And there are so many reasons. There are ethical, moral, philosophical, religious, all kinds of reasons to save plants and animals in the wild. But the most important one, it is perhaps that those plants or those animals are fundamental to maintain life on Earth. Life on Earth in general and human life in particular. And this is because of all the wild plants and animals working together in this complex thing that we call ecosystems. And those ecosystems, by functioning properly, provide what we call environmental goods and services, that are basically all these benefits that we get for free for the proper function of ecosystems. And we're talking about clean water. All the clean water for humans and for all the plants and animals come from those ecosystems. As people have said before, this is like a spaceship. The Earth is the ship, is the only one, and we are destroying it. I still have a lot of hope that we will be able to fight hard and to save many of these species and at the same time, save humanity, save us from a collapse of civilization.